Maharaj ki jai. Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Bhagavan Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki jai. Rupa Nugu Guru Bhagya ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Jai Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Acharya Brinda ki jai. Srila Bhakti Nirmala Acharya Maharaj ki jai. Samadvaita Vaishnava Mandali ki jai. Kol Kartel ki jai. Shri Harinama Sankirtan ki jai. Nitai Gaura Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. So we're broadcasting live from the Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math London chapter, East London branch, 466 Green Street. And we are continuing our discussion of Upadeśāmṛta. Just want to say again, so my heartfelt thanks to all of those of you who've contributed to our appeal towards the temple refurbishment. The GoFundMe page is showing over £2,500, and in fact we have now over £6,000 because some devotees contributed directly to the account, the temple account, or directly to the temple when visiting. We are now open. The temple is now open. Although we're under Tier 4 lockdown, the temple is open for private prayer and worship. So you may come to the temple, you may attend the artis, you may attend the lecture, as long as we maintain the social distancing required by law. And we're asking, when there are many people here, that everyone will confine their visits to only 10 minutes unless you have some service engagement here at the temple. But the exceptions to that are during arti, during the lecture, as long as there are not too many people. And at prasadam time, we will give prasadam to whoever's here that wants it to take away. So that's, whatever our feeling towards that is, we are conforming with the law, and as a temple where we have members of the public visiting for the safety of everyone, and mainly to conform with the law, we are following these procedures about social distancing. Everyone visiting the temple must wear a mask. I'm not wearing a mask because I'm giving a lecture, so you forgive me for that. It's not very easy to lecture through a mask, but as it is, our devotees in the temple today are maintaining the required distance, so we can continue with our discussion of Śrī Upadeśāmṛta, the nectar of instruction, as which has been composed by Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada for the intermediate devotees. Mainly, Rupa Goswami Prabhu's writings are for the Uttamadhikari devotees. They are for the Rasika Bhaktas, those who are established in Prema Bhakti. His writings are mainly for them, and his writings mainly deal with Madhura Leela of Vrindavan and so on. But for us, the sadhakas, the aspiring devotees, he has written Upadeśāmṛta, which is 11 verses, as you all know, and it's full of wonderful instruction for all Vaishnavas, aspiring Vaishnavas, and established Vaishnavas. And the other book that he wrote for us is Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, or the Nectar of Devotion, as it's been translated. At least the first half of that. The second half deals with rasa tattva, and maybe above our pay grade, so to say, but the first half of the Upadeśāmṛta is very helpful and instructive to us. So anyway, we have this very Jai Gurudev, Hare Krishna. We have this very wonderful edition of Upadeśāmṛta, which has been translated and published by our dear friend Bhakti Kamal Tyagi Maharaj, and it includes the commentaries of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and an illumination by Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj, our beloved Guru Maharaj. So today we're on the last verse, but only about halfway through the book, because there's so much more in there. This is verse 11. So, Krishnasyo chai pranaya vasatihi preyasibhyo pi radha kundam chasya munibhir abidas tadrig eva vyadhai yat prester apialam asulabham kim punar bhakti bhajam tat premedam sakridapi sharaha snatur avishkaroti. Sri Radha is the highest object of Sri Krishna's love. Above all his other lovers, and in all respects, her lake has also been established as such by the sages. This lake bestows upon those who bathe within it only once prema that is extremely difficult even for those who are dear to Krishna to attain, let alone for the practitioners of bhakti. Upadeśāmṛta Prakashika by Srimad Radharaman Das Goswami. Nanu tad ashrayat kim milati tatra tadrisha siddhantam evo pasa haram tata. Premo palabdim aha Krishnas jeti jat prema Krishna priyatvena kayate. Narad adibhi alam durlabham tad adinam taj jatiya prema sambhavad iti bhavaha. Tad api prema karma bhutam katribhutam idam shara snatuhu sambande avishkaroti. Prakata jati tat ko nasrayed iti purvanaiva sambandaha. What does one attain from such shelter at Sri Radha Kund? This verse, Krishna, etc., we've just read, summarizes the conclusions or siddhanta in this regard, and thus describes attainment of prema, which is extremely difficult to attain even for Narad and others who are renowned for being dear to Krishna, because prema of this type is impossible for him and others of his standing. This is the purport. Still, this lake, which is both a recipient and a giver of prema, manifests aviskaroti to those who bathe within it. This is said in relation to the previous question, who would not take shelter of Radha Kund? Sri Chaitanya kripa lesat tad bhaktanam mude krita swa parchanadi anusaraneti upadesh prakashika. By a drop of Sri Chaitanya's mercy, this Upadeśāmṛta prakashika has been composed according to my own understanding and so forth for the pleasure of his devotees. Radha Ramana Dasena, Radha Ramana Sevina, Govardhana Palalasya, Tanujena Kritat Tva Iyam. It has been composed by Radha Raman Das, a servant of Radha Raman and son of Govardhan Lala. Iti Śrī Upadeśāmṛta Tika Samapta. Thus, this commentary on Śrī Upadeśāmṛta is concluded. Just at this point, we should stress, as we have many times before, that where it speaks about bathing in Radha Kund, it does not mean physically bathing in Radha Kund. And we should stress very clearly to all the aspiring devotees that our Guru Maharaj and his Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj and Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, they forbid the devotees to bathe in Radha Kund physically. To touch the Kund with our feet is a great offense. What to speak of entering in with our impure and unholy bodies. And Srila Guru Maharaj said if we wish to bathe in a physical way, we should take a palm of water from the Radha Kund and reverentially place that on our head. And that will be the proper way to do that. But actually bathing in Radha Kund is nothing to do with anything physical, but rather it is an absorption in the mood of the residents of Braja who revere Radha Kund in this way. So, now the Bhasya of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Sakala Prayasi Shrestha Vrishabhanu Sutta Tanhara Sharasi Nitya Sri Krishna Doita. The daughter of Vrishabhanu is the best of all Krishna's lovers, and her lake is always dear to Sri Krishna. Muni Gana Shastre E Rupa Nirdarila Braja Madhye Shrestha Bali Kunde Stira Kaila. In the scriptures, the sages have ascertained this and determined that this lake is supreme within all of Braja. Sadhana Bhakti Rakata Ki Baliba Ara Krishna Presta Ganera Durlabha Prema Shara. What more can I say of sadhana bhakti? The highest form of prema is difficult to attain, even for those who are dear to Krishna. Nishkapate se kunde je kare ma jana kunda tanne se prema kare vitarana. Yet Radha Kund gives such prema to those who bathe within it sincerely. P. Jusha Barshini Briti by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. The 11th verse has been put forth for the purpose of making the heart of the sadhaka firm by describing the natural glory of Sri Radha Kund. Sri Radhika is the greatest recipient of Sri Krishna's love and superior to his other lovers in all respects. In the scriptures, the sages have also described the excellence of Sri Radha Kund in this way. If one bathes in Radha Kund with bhakti, Radha Kund easily gives one prema that is difficult to attain even for Narad Muni and others who are dear to Bhagavan. What to speak of practitioners of bhakti? Radha Kund, therefore, is the proper place for all devotees to reside. The supramundane aprakrita jivas attaining the supramundane body of a gopi in supramundane Braja, residing as a maintained maidservant at Radha Kund in the grove of their guru in her form as a Shaki, externally taking constant shelter of the holy name and assisting Srimati Radhika in the service of Krishna throughout the 8 periods of the day, are the perfection of service for those who have taken shelter at the feet of Sri Chaitanya. Again, it's worth saying at this point that this is not a physical thing, just finding somewhere to live in Radha Kund and staying there won't give you the result of being a resident of Radha Kund. Although many devotees, sometimes they think this is a good idea. In fact, it's not a good idea. If Mahaprabhu and our Guru Bhargava have advised, if you are not in control of your senses, it is not good to stay in Vrindavan more than 3 days, generally. Of course, the exception is if you are with there in the service or to hear from a sadhu, a real sadhu. But otherwise, it is not recommended for us. And just living there is nothing. And I will repeat an anecdote which I heard from one of my friends who is a disciple of Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada. and there he told that he was on parikram with Srila Prabhupada in Vrindavan, and Srila Prabhupada at that point he met one devotee there. Just Jai Sisi Guru Goranga Radha Sham Sundar Giridhari Ju Ki Jai. So Srila Prabhupada was in Radha Kund with his disciples during the parikram. They were doing Govardhan parikram and Radha Kund parikram, and then suddenly one Babaji came to speak with Srila Prabhupada, and this Babaji was actually a Western disciple of Srila Prabhupada who had decided that he should go and live in Vrindavan and grow a big beard and a top knot and so on. But he came to see Prabhupada, offered his respects to him, and they had some conversation. Although he was Srila Prabhupada's disciple, he had more or less rejected Srila Prabhupada and moved on to something which he considered to be higher. And they had some, you can say, superficial conversation. And after that devotee had gone his way, then one of the disciples of Srila Prabhupada who was accompanying him said, "But Prabhupada, he must be getting so much benefit just from living in Radha Kund." And Srila Prabhupada's reply to him was, "He is not living in Radha Kund, he is living in Naraka Kund." Naraka means hell. So he is living in the Kund of hell. That was Srila Prabhupada's conclusion about that. So don't make the mistake of thinking that just physically living in Radha Kund will give you the result. It will not. Ananda Bridhaye Srimad Goswami Vanamalinaha Tata Shri Prabhunathasya Sukha Yatma Nivedana Swasya Bhajana Sokyasya Samriddhi Hetave Punaha Bhakti Vinoda Dasena Shri Godruma Nivasina Prabhus Chataha Shatabdheha Dwadasha Abdike Mrige Rachiteyam Shitastamayam Briti Pujusha Barshani. To increase the joy of Srimad Vanamali Goswami for the satisfaction of the surrendered soul, Sri Prabhunath, and to increase the joyfulness of his own bhajan, the servant Bhaktivinoda, while residing in Sri Godrum, has completed this Pijusha Barshani Briti, commentary which showers nectar, on the 8th day of the waxing fortnight of the moon, during the solar month of Capricorn, in what will be year 412 of our Prabhu, which corresponds to the 30th of January, 1898. Our Prabhu means Sri Gaurahari. Sri Sri Godruma Chandra Rapanam Astu. May this be an offering unto the divine moon of Godrum. Basa by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Srimati Radhika Krishna Kanta Shiromani Krishna Priya Madhye Tanra Sama Nohidani. Srimati Radhika is the crown jewel of Krishna's lovers. Amongst all who are dear to Krishna, there is no one as fortunate as her. Munigana Shastre Radha Kundera Banane Gandharbika Tulya Kunda Karaye Ganane. In their descriptions of Radha Kund in the scriptures, the sages have ascertained that Radha Kund is equal to Gandharbika herself. One of my friends asked me recently, what does it mean, Gandharbika, when Srimati Radharani is called Gandharbika? And the meaning is that she is the best of all dancers. That is, Gandharvika. When Gandharvika pleases Krishna by her dancing, when that Radharani is known as Gandharvika. Naradadi Priya Barge, Jai Prema Dulaba, Anya Sadakere Taha, Kabuna Sulabha. Prema that is very difficult to attain for Narad and others who are dear to the Lord is never easy to attain for other sadhakas. Kintu Radhakunde Snana Ye Jana Kare, Madhura Rasete Tanna Snane Siddhi Dare. Those who bathe in Radhakund, however, attain perfection in Madhura Rasa. Aprakrita Bhave Sada Jugala Sevana, Radha Pada Padma Labhe, Se Harijana. Such devotees attain the eternal, supramundane service of the divine couple and the lotus feet of Sri Radha. Sri Barsha Banabi Kabe, Doita Dasere, Kunda Tare Snana Dibe, Nija Janakare. When will Sri Barsha Banabi allow Doita Das to bathe on the bank of her Kund and make him one of her own? Upadeśāmṛta Basha Karila Dujana, Pata Kale Harijana, Kariha Shodhana. A fallen soul has composed this Upadeśāmṛta Basha. May the devotees correct it as they recite it. Upadeśāmṛta Dori Rupa Nuga Bhave, Jivana Japile Krishna Kripa Se Pabe. One who follows Upadeśāmṛta and spends one's life as a follower of Sri Rupa will attain Krishna's mercy. Satya Treta Dapare Je Sakala Bhakta Krishna Kripa Labijache Grihasta Virakta Bhavikale Vartamane Bhaktara Samaja Sakalera Pada Rajha Jache Dina Aja. Today this fallen soul prays for the foot dust of all the devotees of the present, all the devotees of the future, and all the devotees, both the householders and renunciants, who attain Krishna's mercy in the ages of Satya, Treta and Dapar. Bhakti Vinoda Prabhu Anuga Jana Daita Dasara Tanra Pade Nivedana Daya Kori Dosha Hari Bala Hari Hari Upadeśāmṛta Bari Sirupari Dhari. Daita Das prays at the feet of anyone who is a follower of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Please kindly do away with all offences and chant Hari Hari, holding the water of Upadeśāmṛta atop your head. Anubriti by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. The greatest recipient of Krishna's love and the crown jewel of his lovers is Srimati Radhika. In the scriptures, the sages have described her lake as supreme and comparable to Srimati herself. Those who once bathe in Radha Kund develop prema that is not easy to attain for even Narad and other dear devotees of Bhagavan, let alone for sadhaka devotees. Supramundane residence at Radha Kund, which is filled with prema, and a supramundane bath in Radha Kund, in which the nectar of prema overflows, mean that the jivas become detached from the desire to enjoy matter, and while engaging in bhajan within the mind for the remainder of their life, and in their afterlife in earnest submission to Sri Radhika, directly engage in their eternal service in their supramundane eternal body. Those who thus bathe in Radha Kund attain the highest auspiciousness. Their fortune is difficult to attain for even Narad and other devotees. What to speak of materialists? Bathing in Radha Kund is difficult to attain for even devotees sheltered in Dasya, Sakya and Vatsalya Rasa. What more can I say about a supramundane bath in Radha Kund? Those who perform such a bath even once attain the fortune of becoming a maintained maidservant of Śrī Upadeśāmṛta. Govinda Bachane Jane, Ihai Goranga Bani, Aprakrita Kale Sarakatha, Nila Chale Sindhu Tire, Śrī Goranga Dire Dire, Balila Shunila Bhakta Tahata. I recognize in the words of Sri Govindadev Kavi, the words of Sri Gauranga, his essential teaching at the time of his departure. Sri Gauranga spoke gently on the bank of the ocean in Nilachal, and the devotees there listened. So there's a little footnote to this about Govindadev Kavi, which says, in the final chapter of Sri Govindadev Kavi's Sri Sri Gaura Krishna Daya, the appearance of Sri Gaura Krishna, entitled Swadharma Vijay, departure for his abode, Sriman Mahaprabhu is said to have gathered with devotees from various regions on the banks of the ocean in Nilachal and spoken to them 5 verses of final instruction, 4 of which are found in Śrī Upadeśāmṛta verses 5 to 8. Sri Sri Gaura Krishna Daya was composed in 1758 and published in modern form by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur in 1912. Gaura Mukha Upadesha Sarva Amritera Shesha Śrī Rupa Goswami Prabhu Bara Karna Dwara Panakori Lekanite Tahadari Kali Jive Dila Bhara Hara. These instructions from the mouth of Sri Gaura are the essence of all nectar. Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhu drank this nectar through his ears, wrote it down with his pen, and gave it to the jivas of the age of Kali, thus relieving them of the burden upon them. Sri Radharamana Das, Sri Radharamana Pash, Rahi E Shloka Ekadash, Korila Shamskrita Tika, Namatara Prakashika, Akinchana Paya Jate Rasa. Sri Radharaman Das, living by the side of Sri Radharaman, wrote a Sanskrit commentary on these 11 verses called the Upadeśāmṛta Prakashika, in which the surrendered souls taste rasa. Vishtariya Nija Shakti, Kali Raja Prema Bhakti, Achadila Jay Manda Kane, Dayala Goranga Hori, Jiva Dukkha Mane Smari, Pataila Eka Nija Jane. At the auspicious time when King Kali spread his influence and hid Prema Bhakti, merciful Lord Gauranga remembered the jiva's suffering within his heart and sent one of his associates. Bhakati Vinoda Bara, Pijusha Barshinikara, Upadeśāmṛta Janra Murti, Upadeśāmṛta Ratne, Sangraha Kariya Jatne, Jive Karila Krishna Spurati. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the author of the Pijusha Barshini Briti and the embodiment of the Upadeśāmṛta, carefully collected the jewels within the Upadeśāmṛta and then inspired the jivas to realize Krishna. Kalihatta Jiva Gana, Upadeśāmṛta Dana, Chadi Kaila Navina Vidana, Nade Nagarira Mata, Ara Va Kahibad Kata, Krishna Chaji Mayara Sadhana. The jivas defiled by Kali, reject the wealth of the Upadeśāmṛta and made up new methods, such as the conception of the Gaura Nagaris in Nadia. How many more shall I name? Rejecting Krishna, they have delved into illusion. E Hana Samaye Kali, Mayavada Astre Chali, Krishna Bhakti Achadana Kaila, Jivere Dubala Peye, Micha Bhakti Chahacha Laye, Bhava Sagarete Dubaila. During this time, Kali fired the weapon of Mayavad and hid Krishna Bhakti. Getting the jivas weak, he brought in a mold of false bhakti and submerged the jivas in the ocean of material existence. Vipralamba Murtiman, Śrī Gauranga Bhagavan, Sambhogera Pustira Lagia, Pracharila Nija Tatta, Prakarshia Shuddha Satta, Bhaja Krishna Mayake Chadiya. Thus the embodiment of separation, Bhagavan Śrī Gauranga, to enhance the experience of union, manifested pure goodness and broadcast the truth about himself, saying, serve Krishna and leave illusion behind. Mayavada Upadesha, Gauranga Dasera Besha, Grahana Kariya Kaliraja, Krishna Bhakti Chadaiya, Sambhogera Dasahaya, Dekaila Chaya Prema Sajja. King Kali then accepted the dress of a servant of Gauranga and taught Mayavad. He made jivas reject Krishna Bhakti and become servants of union. He showed them the shadow of Prema's garb. Kakana Bhola Brata, Kakana Nagarimata, Neda Sahajiya Kartabhaja, Prakrita Sambhoga Kata, Pracharaya Jata Tata, Nagrarira Ghora Bhakti Dwaja. Sometimes he propagated the rites of the balls, and sometimes the conceptions of the Gauranga Nagaris, Nedas, Sahajiyas, and Kartabhajas. He propagated the idea of material union everywhere, which is the hallmark of the Gaura Nagaris Gaura Bhakti. Kali Jana Haye Keha, Apanate Gaura Deha, Prakasha Karaye Avatara. Keha Bale Ami Guru, Amake Bhajana Kuru, Kamani Kanchana Amisara. Becoming followers of Kali, some people claimed, I myself am a form of Gauranga. He has manifested an incarnation. Others said, I am Guru, worship me. Women, wealth, and I are the essence. Gaura Bhakti Nasha Kari, Kali Bashaila Tari, Parakiya Gaura Prema Chale, Saki Beki Gaura Bhaja, Laiya Jadera Maja, Matila Ananda Kutahale. Destroying Gaura Bhakti, Kali floated his boat on the pretext of Prema for Gaura as a paramour. Saki Bekis and Gaura Bhajas, indulging in the delights of the mundane, cheerfully became mad with pleasure. Kehabale Vishnu Priya, Bhaja Nija Pranadiya, Rupanuga Pata Tyaga Kori, Radha Krishna Seva Tyagi, Tiya Shapi Kama Bhaji, Prakrita Bogera Patadori. Some said, worship Vishnu Priya with your heart, leave the path of the followers of Śrī Rupa, leave the service of Radha Krishna, serve the aims of theosophy, and follow the path of material enjoyment. Bhuta Preta Badalaye, Gaura Preme, Mishaye, Nija Boge, Gadila Gauranga, Jada Boge Gaura Hari, Gadai Chi and Nija Hari, Bale Tora Haba, Habi, Sangopanga. Taking the notions of ghosts and spirits and combining them with Prema for Gaura, they fabricated a Gauranga of their own enjoyment. They said, we are making our own God, the golden lord of material enjoyment, and you all will be his associates and companions. Amora Gauranga Laha, Vishnu Priya Tarasaha, Nabina Bhajana Shikabai, Rupanuga Raghunatha, Nahi Sangha Tarasata, Nischaya Korea Kahitai. Accept our Gauranga with Vishnu Priya and learn this new form of worship, brother. Raghunath and the followers of Śrī Rupa have no connection with him. This we say for certain. Parsadera Jay Mata, Tate Ami Nahirata, Tahate Amara Karya Nai, Bhajanete Ache Duka, Pratishta Sambhoga Sukha, Tai Bhaji Gauranga Nitai. We do not follow the conception of the Lord's associates. We have no interest in that. In bhajan there is suffering, but in prestige and union there is pleasure. So we worship Gaura and Nitai. Thakura Sri Narottama, Nasiya Jagata Brahma, Basaila Gaura Vishnupriya, Mahajana Patta Dori, Radha Krishna Sadasmari, Braje Bhaje Nija Hiya Diya. Srila Narottam Thakur destroyed the misconceptions throughout the world and installed deities of Gaura and Vishnupriya, following the path of the Mahajans and always remembering Radha and Krishna. He wholeheartedly worshipped Braja. Prema Bhakti Swarupini, Radha Krishna Gauravini, Narayani Vishnupriya Devi, Lakshmi Devi Lakshmi Priya, Neela Devi Dhamma Hiya, Tina Shakti Radha Krishna Sevi. Vishnupriya Devi, Lord Narayan's consort, is an embodiment of Prema Bhakti and reverent of Radha and Krishna. Lakshmi Priya is Lakshmi Devi, and Neela Devi manifests her heart as the Lord's abode. These three energies serve Radha and Krishna. Gopi Anugata Haye, Manase Savila Traye, Radha Krishna Gaura Bhagavane. Ebe Je Nutana Mata, Nagariya Kalihata, Bhaktira Nashaka Bhakata Mane. Being subservient to the gopis, these three energies serve Radha and Krishna and Bhagavan Gaura within their hearts. Devotees now recognize this new conception of the Gaura Nagaris to be defiled by Kali and destructive to bhakti. Bhakati Vinoda Nija, Prabhu Pada Sarashija, Apane Janiya Gaura Britya, Narottama Pada Smari, Mayapure Priyahari, Vasaila Jani Nija Kritya. As a lotus at the feet of his Lord, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, knowing himself to be a servant of Gaura, meditating on the feet of Sri Narottam, and understanding his duty, installed deities of Gaura Hari and Vishnupriya in Mayapur. Rupa Pradar Shitapata, Swacharitre Jata Jata, Jagat Jivere Dekaila. Bhagati Vinoda Shrita Prema Bhakti Samanvita Upadeśāmṛta Tara Hoila. By his own proper conduct, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur showed the path. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur showed the path revealed by Śrī Rupa to the jivas of this world, sheltered by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and filled with Prema Bhakti. Upadeśāmṛta became their own. Kalira Banchana Jata, Tahe Bhakta Nahe Rata, Prakrita Koriya Tahe Mane. Rupa Shikshamrita Jay, Gaura Shikshamrita Se, Anya Shika Na Shunaye Kane. Devotees do not follow the deceptions of Kali. They consider them mundane and recognize the nectar of Śrī Rupa's teachings to be non-different from the nectar of Śrī Gaura's teachings. They do not listen to any other teachings. Śrī Gaura Vimukta Bhava, Radha Krishna Prema Bhava, Bhakati Vinoda Deke Jabe, Sangsarera Deki Gati, Krishna Bhakti Hinamati, Vata Bhyadi Chale Moni Tabe. When Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur saw the world's aversion to Śrī Gaura and the absence of Radha Krishna Prem, when he saw the world's condition and mentality devoid of Krishna Bhakti, then he became silent on the pretext of rheumatism. Avalambi Jadabhava Jadatage Brajalabha Anukana E Katamuke Krishna Bhakti Shunya Dara Deki Prakashila Jara Antara Desaya Bhajje Shuke. Making use of a material condition, repeatedly saying, reach Braja by giving up the mundane. and seeing the earth devoid of Krishna bhakti, he manifests infirmity, and within his inner absorption, he happily engaged in bhajan. Micha bhakta abhimane, mudha loka nahi jane, aparada kaila bhakta paya, nija kudra adhikare, chaya bhakte deki bare, avasheshe aparada haya. Fools do not understand the pride of false devotees and make offense at the feet of true devotees. They want to see devotees from their own insignificant position, and ultimately they offend them, alas. Jivera durgati heri, katta ashru patta kari, shuddha bhakti karite prachara, adeshila bhakta raja, kara gora harikaya, ebe tumi kariya achara. Seeing the degradation of the jivas and weeping profusely, the foremost of devotees, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, instructed me to propagate pure bhakti. Now you perform the work of Gaurahari and practice it yourself. Hridaye balila keba, doita dasera seva, gopi dana katara kirtana, pijusha barshini briti, tara kara anubriti, prachara karaha anukana. Someone also told me within my heart, Daita Das, your service is to spread the glory of the gopis' wealth. Write a sub-commentary, Anubriti, on the Pijusha Barshini Briti, and propagate it continuously. Vinodera padarenu smari jebe arambinu, Anubriti karite ikana, likana. Ashta shloka hale para, Bhakati Vinoda Bara, Vijaya Karila Brajavana. I began to write this sub-commentary meditating on the foot dust of Sri Bhaktivinoda. But after only 8 verses were completed, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur departed for the forest of Braja. Ajya Shubha Radha Dine, Kara Kripa Dina Hine, Shuddha Bhagavata Hari Jana. Anubriti Samapia, Tavakare Samarpia, Dante Trina Korea Dharana. Today, on the auspicious day of Sri Radha, please be merciful to this poor, lowly soul. O pure devotee of Bhagavan, I have completed this Anubriti, and I place it in your hand, holding the straw between my teeth. Gadadhara Dina Dari, Payacha Gaura Hari, Bhakati Vinoda Prabhu Bara, Upadeśāmṛta Dara, Shikta Haye Bhavakara, Shuka Mukta Haya Jena Nara. Choosing the day of Sri Gadadhar, you have reached Gaurahari, O greatest of masters, Sri Bhaktivinoda. May all human beings be bathed in the shower of the Upadeśāmṛta and become free from the pleasures of the prison of material existence. Chaitanyabda Chatushata Ashtavingsa Hala Hale Gata Rishikesha Dvavingsa Divase Shri Brajapatane Basi Chinti Gaura Pada Shashi Labhi Shuka Rupanuga Jase. On the 22nd day of the month of Rishikesh in the year 428 of the Chaitanya era, which is the 28th of August 1914, on Sri Radhastami, sitting in Sri Brajapatan and thinking of the feet of the moon, Sri Gaura, I find joy in the glory of Sri Rupa's followers. Well, okay. That's a pretty intense commentary on the last verse by Prabhupada Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Does anyone have any questions about that? Because maybe some of it's a little confusing.
Yeah. Funny a bit high.
All right. So, the last part of this chapter. The illumination by Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj. Mahaprabhu discovered Radha Kund in a paddy field. Prior to Mahaprabhu's appearance, Radha Kund was concealed, and when Mahaprabhu came to circumambulate Brajamandal, he intuitively went to the upper part of Govardhan and began to search for the site of Radha Kund. He asked the local people, "Where is Radha Kund?" They could not give him any suggestions, so he meditated a little, and then he found some water in a paddy field. He took this water on his head and began to chant the stotram of Radha Kunda, mentioned in the Padma Purana. In this way, the site of Radha Kund was located. Later on, Raghunath Das Goswami would sit under a tree beside this paddy field and continue chanting Harinam. He lived there without any concern. One day, Sanatana Goswami, as he was wandering throughout Vrindavan, arrived there and found Raghunath sitting under this tree while a tiger came by him, drank some of the water in the paddy field, and then went away. Raghunath was astounded to suddenly find Sanatana Goswami there in front of him, and he gave his pranam to Sanatana. Sanatana Goswami had been asked by Mahaprabhu, "Please look after my devotees in Vrindavan." Mahaprabhu had the highest faith in Sanatana Goswami's organizing capacity, and so the responsibility of the general maintenance and care for the devotees was entrusted to Sanatana Goswami. Sanatana knew that Raghunath was very fond, too fond of self-abnegation. He had shown this in Puri and in Vrindavan also, so Sanatana was excited and advised Raghunath, "Please don't sit under the sky here. It is my order to you that you should live in a cottage. Please accept this. I shall manage to have a cottage built for you. You must remain within that. I saw a tiger here just now." What was Raghunath to do? Sanatana was, of course, the senior godbrother amongst the followers of Mahaprabhu, and the responsibility of all the Brajamandal devotees had been entrusted to him. So Das Goswami could not but obey his order. Sanatana Goswami managed to construct a thatched cottage, and Das Goswami accepted it. Mahaprabhurera Bhakta Ganera Vairagya Pradana Jaha Deki Pritahana Gora Bhagavan. Detachment is principle amongst the devotees of Mahaprabhu, and by seeing it, Gora Bhagavan is pleased. With the help of a merchant, Raghunath Das Goswami later had a tank dug, and in this way Radha Kund became visible. In his last days, Raghunath Das Goswami would take only 1 or 2 leaf pots of buttermilk each day and go on taking the name. When he was over 80, he would crawl on the banks of Radha Kund, calling out, "Radhe, Radhe, Radhe." Half mad, he used to crawl on the banks of Radha Kund, chanting Jai Radhe, Jai Radhe, Jai Radhe. He would also rebuke himself. Atmanam ched vidjaniyat param jnana dutashaya kim ichankaya vaheto deham pushnati lampata. This verse is from Srimad Bhagavatam. When one whose mind has been purified by knowledge can understand that the self is superior to the body, then because of what desire and for what reason does such a debauchee continue nourishing his body? After taking a pot of buttermilk, he would address his own mind. If you think you are not the body and that really you are a soul, then why is your body getting fatter day by day? What's the matter? In this way he used to rebuke himself, although it was not so. His temperament to rebuke the fleshy aspect was to teach us, don't enjoy yourself with the idea that you have attained a fair position. This is doinyam, humility. Purishera kita hoite muni se lagista. I am lower than a worm in stool. To make advancement towards the infinite means to see oneself to be so meager. This is the criterion. As much as a devotee is really advancing, they cannot but think that they are going down, that they are the lowest of the low. This is the truth, and thereby we are to measure who is a devotee and who is not. The criterion is humility, sincere humility. So Das Goswami would challenge himself. What sort of devotee do you think you have become? You are so mean. You cannot shake off all these things. Das Goswami would cry, crawling along the banks of Radha Kund, taking the name of Radharani, and sometimes looking towards Nandagram with tears in his eyes. He could not express himself clearly in words, and would make a vague sound as his tears fell. In this way he passed his days in the highest place of service, Radha Kund. Up to his last days he stayed there, in the highest, sweetest connection of the Kund Lila of Radha Govinda. He is our example of how Radha Kund is to be honoured, as prescribed in Upadeśāmṛta. Mahaprabhu in his last days would suddenly chant something, and on another day would suddenly chant something else. And all these points were collected and put into Sanskrit verse by Rupa Goswami. That is Upadeśāmṛta. The 11 verses in the Upadeśāmṛta are very important and very, very useful for practical and personal realization. Generally, others in Vrindavan try to discuss and understand Krishna Lila, but the focus of our Guru Maharaj was always towards the foundation. The consequence will come automatically, so you need not be so careful about that. You should always focus on the foundation. Shravana Kirtana Jale Karaye Sechana Upajiya Bade Lata. Nourish the creeper of devotion. By watering it with hearing and chanting, it will grow automatically. You need not be very eager to examine whether it is growing or not growing. It will grow. So keep confidence in Guru and Shastra, and as it grows, you will know it clearly. It is not an abstract thing. It is a reality, a concrete reality. It will inform you sufficiently that it has come to you. So do your duty. Do the duty of your service, and the result will come automatically. Mind your own lesson. Don't allow the conceit that you are a student of the higher class to come within your heart. You need not be very much alert to that. Just try to do your humble duty and see that it is done without any defects. Karmani avadi evadikaraste mafaleshu kadachana. This is, of course, from Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter. Concentrate the whole of your energy only on doing your duty where you are. The result is in His hands. And when the result does come to you, it will inform you that you have passed the examination. Your duty is to engage yourself in study and not in curiosity as to whether you have passed the examination or not. The result will come of its own accord to you, so go on with your duty. Be a good student, not a result monger. That should be your ideal of life. Putting all our attention towards the immediate duty is the real key to success. Sakyaya me namostu, namostu nityam. Dasyaya me rasostu, rasostu satyam. This is from the Vilapa Kushamanjali. May I offer obeisance, may I offer obeisance forever unto friendship with you, and may I truly relish service to you. Give your whole attention towards the foundation, towards lower service, and the result will come automatically in a natural way. If you are very eager to go higher, it will be artificial and sometimes almost suicidal. So don't try to go upward, don't try to rush, rather always try to seek service in the lower rank. This was the tenor of our Guru Maharaj's advice. So when it was arranged for our Guru Maharaj to offer an explanation of the scriptures on the common bank between Radha Kund and Shama Kund, he did not engage in higher ecstatic description of Radharani and Krishna. Instead, he read and explained this Upadeśāmṛta of Rupa Goswami. The last verse of Upadeśāmṛta is this: Krishnasyo chai pranaya vasati prayasibhyo piradha kundam chasya munibir abitas tadrig eva vyadhayi jet prester api alam asulabham kim punar bhakti bhajam tat premedam sakridapi saraha snatur avishkaroti. Krishnasyo chai pranaya vasati prayasibhyo piradha. Krishna has so many favorites, but the best amongst them is Sri Radhika. Kundam chasya munibir abitas tadrig eva vyadhayi. Her kunda represents her properly. Jat prester api alam asolabam kim punar bhakti bhajam. Devotion which is very rarely found, even within the ranks of those who are most favorite to Krishna, the highest rank of devotees, what to speak of ordinary devotees. Premedam sakridapi saraha snatur avishkaroti. Such devotion may be had by taking a bath in Radha Kund. Sri Krishna's finest pastimes with his own selected group are performed at Radha Kund to their highest degree. It is mentioned that the most private type of sweet relationship and its transactions are found in Radha Kund. The general playing field is Vrindavan. With a selected group there is play in Govardhan, and with the highest group there is play on the highest level, with the highest paraphernalia on the bank of Radha Kund. And yet even higher than this is the play in the water of Radha Kund. A distinction is made between the Leela on the bank of Radha Kund and the Leela in the waters of Radha Kund. Krishna bathes with his highest paraphernalia in Madhura Rasa in the water of Radha Kund, and there the highest degree of confidential pastimes takes place. Krishna's play with Radharani and her group in the water of Radha Kund has been very beautifully described in Chaitanya Charitamrita. It is inconceivable, but it is there. So Radha Kund is the highest place, and here in Upadeśāmṛta there is mention of one who takes a bath in that Radha Kund. Our Guru Maharaj gave light on this. He explained that here a bath does not mean diving into the water with our physical body. It is not meant in the physical sense. It means that our soul must bathe there in that Kund. Many have been seen to dive deep into the water of Radha Kund and sometimes swim, bathe and so on. But our Guru Maharaj did not allow us to do so. He had us do as he did. He took some water and put it on his head without touching Radha Kund with his feet. He did not like that anyone would physically dive into and bathe in Radha Kund. We should simply take a drop of water on our head and think ourselves to be purified. The bath mentioned in this verse, then, is not a physical bath. How could it be that just by physically bathing in Radha Kund, we will attain prema? Radha Kund is Radharani represented as liquid. So to bathe in Radha Kund is to transform ourselves wholesale and identify with the interest of Radharani and nothing beyond that. To bathe in the liquid representation of Radharani means to be converted wholesale into Radha interest, to have within oneself no trace of existence beyond the interest of Radharani. The highest fortune is there, in having no tinge of selfish interest and being wholly identified with her interest. Because people do not have sufficient regard for the meaning, the purity, of real service, our Guru Maharaj asked them not to bathe in the tank. In general, it has been urged that if anyone bathes there, they can improve their devotional quality very much. But that must be treated with proper care, regard and devotion. Otherwise, offense will be committed. So to save us, our Guru Maharaj told us, don't dive in and try to take advantage of having a bath there. Just put a drop or two of water on your head. Loving regard is very precious. It is not available anywhere and everywhere. It is not cheap. It is the highest thing, the highest wealth of our soul, which can attract Krishna toward us. It is of the very highest value. Love for Krishna is not so cheap that we will think, I've got that. I can take a bath regardfully and then I will get much devotion. Don't venture in this way. First try to understand what raga is. And when you get raga, then you can play there freely. You must have that attitude cent per cent about the divinity of Radha Govinda. Otherwise you will think it is mundane. The Sahajiyas, the imitationists, think they are already practicing that and that they are in a position to swim and play there. But that is destroying the real quality of the thing. So they are the pests of the Gaudiya Vaishnava society. It is not so cheap, and the outer practices of those higher things have been discouraged by our Guru Maharaj in the strongest terms. We should not consider Radha Kund or Vrindavan as a whole to be of physical utility. Radha Padankita Dhamma Vrindavana Jaranama. This is from the Radhastakam. Which place is known as Vrindavan? The place of Radharani's footprints. The conclusion of everything goes to the highest consciousness of spirit as well as service. All the meaning, analysis and commentary must move towards that one direction. Whatever is to be done, the question is, in whose interest? Not the form of the practices, but the object for which they are being done is what will purify us and justify their being done. Whose agent are we? This is to be considered. That you are working as an agent and not for your own interest is the first condition. And the second is, whose agent are you? The king's agent or the queen's? In Vrindavan, the queen's agents surpass even the king's agents. This is Radhadasyam. Once, while our Guru Maharaj was present in Brajamandal, the Diwan of Bharatpur came with his family and circumambulated Radha Kund. They were lying down, marking the spot where their hands reached, then lying down again, starting from that spot, and in this way circumambulating Radha Kund, one body length at a time. Paramananda Prabhu, a favourite disciple of Prabhupada, came and very ardently told Prabhupada, the Diwan and his family have also great regard for Radharani. They are circumambulating Radha Kund in such a way. Prabhupada came out from his inner quarters and said, yes, but their angle of vision and our angle of vision about Radha Kund and Radharani are different. They have reverence for Krishna, and because Radharani is the favourite of Krishna, they also revere Radharani and her Kund. Our position is the opposite. Our concern is with Radharani, and because Radharani wants Krishna, so we also want Krishna. We worship Krishna because Krishna is the favourite of Radharani and not otherwise. Our Guru Maharaj also said, we are Shuddha Shaktas, worshippers of the pure Shakti. We are Shaktas, not Vaishnavas, worshippers of Vishnu. But we are not Vidya Shaktas, ordinary Shaktas. We are Shuddha Shaktas, or pure Shaktas. The real original potency is in Braja, and that is Radharani, the dedicating moiety of Krishna. Our direct connection is there with her, and our connection with Krishna is indirect. It is only through her. So we are concerned with Krishna because our mistress Radharani has connection with him. This is why we want him and not otherwise. Why Radha Dasyam? Why are we concerned exclusively with Radharani? We want to dedicate ourselves, and the highest ideal of dedication in all respects is shown by Radharani in Madhura Rasa, Parakiya Madhura Rasa, endangering all her achievements, everything. She is approaching the quarter of the greatest taste consumer, the autocrat, Krishna. So dedication to its zenith is only to be found there. Having her company in any way, even in the slightest connection, will purify us, as well as all others who go that way, to the greatest extent. That should be considered the highest wealth. To know only her concern, her duty, her necessity. That is the highest achievement of the Gaudiyas. Mahaprabhu's party, as announced by Srila Das Goswami. Asa barer amrita sindhu mayahi katanchit kalo mayati gamita kila sampratam hi. Twanchet kripam mayi bhidayasi naiva kimme pranar brajena cha baroru bakarinapi. This is from the Bilapa Kushamanjali, which is written by Raghunath Das Goswami. In this verse, Raghunath Das Goswami expresses his most earnest desire. Asa barer amrita sindhu mayahi. The great hope of service to you, Radharani, my mistress, feels like an ocean of nectar. Katanchit kalo mayita gamitaha. I am passing my days impatiently, waiting a long, long time for that. Kila sampratamhi. I have now reached my end, my mistress. My patience has reached its end. Tvanchet kripanmayi bidayasi naiva. Now I am such a position that if you don't grant any grace in my favor, then kim me pranay. I don't find any charm in my life any longer. Brajena cha. If I do not get your grace, then my living in Vrindavan is just a mockery, and there is no more necessity for it. Baruru bakarani napi. And what more, I do not even want to have any connection with Bakari, Krishna himself. I do not get your special mercy or favor toward, if I do not get your special mercy or favor toward me. In this, the most famous verse we get from Raghunath Das, he is praying, "O my mistress, if I do not get your grace, then everything is tasteless to me, even Vrindavan. And what to speak of other things, I do not even want Krishna himself if you are not there." We are told by the spiritual experts of our Sampradaya that this is the acme of our realization, and it is an extreme risk. If I do not get your favor, then I don't want all these things. I want you, and only you, along with your paraphernalia. To eliminate you and get an independent relationship with any other thing is impossible in my life. You must be first, and then others. What to speak of any other thing? Without you, I can never even think to aspire for a separate connection with Krishna. First I must have you, and then any other. This highest realization comes from Raghunath Das Goswami, who is our Prayojan Acharya. Sanatana Goswami is called the Sambandha Acharya, and Rupa Goswami the Abhideya Acharya. But Raghunath is the giver of the highest end of our life, as Radha Kainkarja, Radha Dasya. We saw that when our Guru Maharaj would explain this shloka, he was besides himself. We found him full of emotion, sometimes with tears flowing. His figure would become something else, and his face would turn red. He sometimes explained this verse amongst the selected disciples, and it appeared when he would do so that he had come to his own plane. He had come home. We could trace this sometimes, that he was fully found. Once I heard from a godbrother that he asked Prabhupada about Krishna leaving Radharani in the forest. When Krishna left the Rasa Leela and went in search of Radharani, then after some time he was able to find Radharani. He took her along with him. And then Radharani told him, I cannot walk any more. If you would like me to go anywhere, you will have to carry me. Then suddenly Krishna disappeared. Sabadur Anvatpayat. She began to repent. Why did I ask him to carry me? Now a reaction has come and he has left me here. Regarding this, a godbrother asked our Guru Maharaj, why did Krishna leave Radharani and dishonor her? What is the cause? Our Guru Maharaj was very much excited. What trace of bhakti do you find here? Why have you come to ask this question? Do you find any devotion in that? In this way he was chastised. There was no answer. So I tried to see how Bhaktivinoda Thakur has given an interpretation here. And I found that Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written that Krishna disappeared to enjoy the symptoms and the sentiments of Radharani in this stage, when she was left alone in the forest. Then again he returned. So for some purpose, for some leela, he may show that he is apart from her, but actually he does not, and he cannot go apart from her. He was there all along in another form, to watch how Radharani behaved in that lonely place. When she slept alone, he was there. So Krishna cannot cross over the fine quality of attraction to Radharani's intensity of love for him and go elsewhere. It is not possible. Prabhupada's opinion was that he was not ready to hear of the slight possibility of dishonor to Radharani. Those in Lalita Devi's section are prejudiced, partial to Radharani, and even go to chastise Krishna. They always support the cause of Radharani, and they may say to Krishna, you have done wrong, and she is right. This is their spirit. Once Prabhupada ordered a gentleman to sing Bhaktivinoda Thakur's song, Amita Swananda Sukhadir Vasi. There it is mentioned, Sakistali Nahi Heri Nayane, Dekila Saibake Padaye Mane. I am in the group of Radharani, and I cannot tolerate the sight of the Sakis of the other camp, Chandravali, Shaibya, and Padma. Radhika Kunja and Harakari, Laite Chahe, Se Radhara Hori. They are always busy to entice Krishna from our camp to their camp, so I cannot tolerate them. Prabhupada was sitting in a canvas chair as this song was being sung, and then repeated again. He was patiently hearing Bhaktivinoda Thakur's song, and there are so many very, very covetable things there. But I noticed that whenever in the course of that song the point Radhika Kunja and Harakari came, he got a shock. His body would jerk in this way, as if an arrow had been thrown into his side. He couldn't tolerate it. He was not ready to tolerate any dishonor to the camp of Radharani. Those of that camp eternally have such formation of their mind or sentiment, or whatever it may be. I wrote a poem, Śrī Goranumatan Swarupa Biditam Rupa Grajen Adritam Rupadhyai Parivesitam Raghoganayar Ashvaditam Sevitam Jivadhyai Abhirakshitam Shukha Shiva Brahmadi Samanitam Shri Radha Pada Sevanamrita Aho Tad Datam Isho Bhavam. This is Bhakti Vinod Virahadaskam, verse 9. The nobility, the greatness of that theme, which was sanctioned by Mahaprabhu, Śrī Goranumatan, was known to Sarup Goswami, Sarupa Biditam, who was a second Mahaprabhu, Sakshad Mahaprabhu Dvitiya Kalevara, Rupang Grajan Adritam. Sanatan has shown great respect for this. And Rupadhyai Parivesitam, it has been distributed directly by Rupa Goswami and his followers. Raghu Ganair Ashwaditam Sebitam. Raghunath Goswami and his followers, such as Kabiraj Goswami, have in their proper way tasted this thing, which was distributed by Rupa Goswami, by the inspiration of Mahaprabhu. Jivadya Abhirakshitam. It has been supported by Jiva Goswami and his followers, such as Baladev Vidyabhushan, by quotations from the scriptures and reasoning. Shuka Shiva Brahmodave Pratartitam. It is hankered for by Shuka, Shiva, Brahma, Uddhav, and others. What is this thing? Śrī Radha Pada Sevanamritam, the nectar of the service of the divine feet of Śrī Radhika. Aho! It is very astonishing. Tadatam Isho Bhavam, and you, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, are in a position to distribute this highest nectar of our sampradaya to one and all. Your position is so dignified. My Guru Maharaj was very pleased to find this Siddhanta in my shloka, and he also expressed that to me. He said, Bhaktivinoda Thakur himself has made you write this. He has written this through you. That was the opinion of Prabhupada. And to someone else he said, yes, what I came to give to the world will be there. It is there. I am leaving it for the world, that thing. He also told me, you have written in a very happy style. He was highly pleased to find that in this poem the real necessity has been properly hit upon. Faith is almost non-existent to us in our present condition, but it is the substantial thing, and it has superseding existence. Others may vanish, but faith will stand forever. Faith is a particular potency of Radharani. Shuka Rupa Krishna Kare Shuka Ashwadana Bhakta Gane Shuka Dite Ladini Karana. This is from Madhya Lila of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Ecstasy himself, Krishna, feels himself, tastes himself, and enjoys himself. But distributing that sort of ecstatic joy to others is the very nature of the Hladini Shakti, which is represented in full by Radharani. Only she transmits Krishna consciousness to the outside, to the devotees. And that is possible only through faith, Shraddha. So faith, Shraddha, is the halo of Radharani, by the light of which others come to understand Krishna. Krishna is the positive whole. All parts of the whole are negatives. And the mother negative, the central negative that can transmit faith and joy to others, is Radharani. Mahaprabhu came mainly to distribute Madhura Rasa, and automatically other rasas also, because they are living on Madhura Rasa. They are all dependent on Madhura Rasa. Madhura Rasa is the Adi Rasa and the Mukhya Rasa. That is, it is the original rasa, and it is the combination of all other rasas. Madhura Rasa is the independent rasa, and all the others, Vatsalya, Sakya, and Dasya, are like satellites. They depend on the transaction, bilas, of Madhura Rasa. So Mahaprabhu came to give the original principal thing, and all the others automatically got their justice. Mahaprabhu's Sampradaya is known as the Rupanuga Sampradaya. Rupa Goswami is exclusively in Madhura Rasa, and the Sampradaya is known as Rupanuga. So we profess explicitly that we are in Madhura Rasa, though there may be some exceptional cases. Mainly the Rupanuga Sampradaya means the seekers of Madhura Rasa, the gift Mahaprabhu came to give. Our Guru Parampara is Madhura Rasa. Vatsalya Rasa is eliminated, and even Nityananda Prabhu is not on the list of our Guru Parampara. Sarup Damodar, Rupa, Sanatan, and Raghunath are all Madhura Rasa acharyas, more or less. So our Sampradaya is mainly that of Madhura Rasa, and taking that towards Radha Dasya. But Radha Dasya, and in general Madhura Rasa, presuppose all other rasas, there must be Vatsalya Rasa, Sakya Rasa, and so on. Krishna must have his paraphernalia, his mother, father, all these things. Krishna is not alone, but always amidst a group. So though it may seem covered in disguise, Madhura Rasa is the main current there. And all other rasas are subsidiary. They are there to help his leelas in Madhura Rasa. So they cannot be eliminated. They must also be there to help the transaction of Madhura Rasa. Even the elements in Shanta Rasa in Goloka are there to promote Madhura Rasa. Radharani says in Kurukshetra, although he is that Krishna and I am that Radha, my mind is always running towards Vrindavan and the Anukula Parivesh, the favorable environment found there. The Jamuna, the trees, the sand, the birds, the peacocks, and all others who have their particular contribution to the Leela at different times. Otherwise, Vrindavan Leela is not possible. So everything has got its special serving value. Krishna Bhakti is a departmental thing with the rasas of Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya and Madhura. Radha Dasya is a department within a department, and therein is the Rupanuga Sampradaya. Anarpita Chirim Chirat Karunaya Vartina Kalo Samarpayitam Unutojvala Rasam Sabhakti Shriyam. This is, of course, from the Adi Leela of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Anarpita Chirim Chirat, that which has never been given before, so perfectly and so clearly, is this Radha Dasya, the most secret object. The fulfillment of our life is there, because Radharani's wholesale service has no parallel in intensity. When this sort of service comes in connection with Krishna, the quality and quantity of rasa that is drawn from him as the Akila Rasamrita Murti is used in the most beautiful and noble way which cannot be found anywhere else. Amidst those that are in the camp of Parakiya Madhura Rasa also, that is, amidst the ordinary services of the gopis, Radharani's service is superior in quality and quantity, especially quality. So if you want to have a taste of a particle of that highest type of rasa, which only Radharani can enjoy, you will have no other alternative but to enlist in service in her camp. This is quite reasonable. Our highest gain is there, and not by our connection only with Radharani or Lalita Devi, but in the Rupanuga Sampradaya. Sri Radha Dasya has been said to be the highest attainment. Why? The quality and quantity of rasa that Radharani can draw from Krishna can never be found anywhere else. So if you assemble just behind Radharani, you'll be able to taste not only the highest quantity, but also the highest quality of rasa. No other person can draw such high rasa from Krishna, rasa of the fullest, highest type. Krishna gives himself there fully, wholly and deeply. So if you are in her group, then you can have a taste of that sort of rasa. Similarly, in Radharani's camp, when Radha and Krishna are engaged in very secluded pastimes, the grown-up Sakis cannot venture to enter the room and help in the pastimes. Rather, the younger Manjaris are sent there, the leader of that younger group that can enter where both are very closely connected, where the Sakis also do not venture to go because they will be interruption, is Śrī Rupa. The other Manjaris can also go there due to their young age. So this highest of all types of rasa, which we cannot even get through the Sakis, can be had only through the Manjaris. Jayatam surato pango mama manda mate gati mat sarvasya padambojo Radha Madana Mohano. Glory to the most merciful Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan. Although I am lame and wicked, they are my sole shelter, and their lotus feet are everything to me. When Radha and Madan Mohan are alone, and none of the Sakhis are present, the Manjaris are allowed to enter into such private meetings. So the Sakhis cannot expect to have a taste of that sort of rasa that the Manjaris can come in touch with. So to serve through the Manjaris will be very, very profitable. That quality of rasa is never found anywhere else. It is present only in the close, very private, intimate pastimes. So Rupanuga, we are to become Rupanuga. Even Sanatan Goswami, who is the guru of Rupa Goswami, from a formal consideration, has also written somewhere that he wants to appreciate Rupanuga Bichar, the conception of Sri Rupa. Our Guru Maharaj was always Rupanuga. Rupanuga, Rupanuga. He was generally Raganuga, and then Rupanuga in particular. That is our parichaya, our identity, our nature. In his Rupanuga Bhajan Darpana, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Rupanuga hoite se dhaya. He runs to get admission under the administration of Rupa Goswami. Who? Who runs? Those who have such aspiration, who seek such prospect, run to become enlisted in the group of Rupa. By establishing the Rupanuga Sampradaya, Mahaprabhu came only to prove, to show to the world the highest dignity of Radharani. Jadi Goranahata, na ki haita, Kemane Doritam De. Vasu Ghosh, one of the 8 Sakhis closely connected with Radharani, in Gora Leela says, if Gauranga did not come, then how could we live at all? Radhara Mohima Prema Rasa Singha Jagate Janatake. Who would have informed us about the divine love and the elevated position Sri Radhika holds? What we possess in our bosom is so valuable, and Gauranga has come to establish in the market that our heart's wealth is the highest type of wealth. If he did not come to express this to the world, then how could we live? Our lives would have been impossible. If the greatness of our mistress would not have been shown and set as the highest standard, then how could we bear to live? Nityananda Prabhu wanted to distribute Sri Gauranga to one and all. Approaching every door and person, he would say, take the name of Gauranga, take the name of Gauranga, and I shall be your slave forever. Once take the name of Gauranga. Making his appeal in this way, he would cry and roll at the door of any person whom he approached. When Mahaprabhu took his permanent seat in Jagannath Puri, he sent Nityananda to Bengal. I give you Gauda Desh. Without you, no one will be able to help them. So Nityananda, I offer you that zone. Go to Bengal and give the fulfillment of life to them. Nityananda took this charge, and here we are under his guidance. Nityananda Prabhu is the leader in preaching about Gauranga, and one who gets the grace of Gauranga automatically comes in connection with Radha Govinda's Leela in Vrindavan. It is safer for us to try to get the mercy of Mahaprabhu than to approach Vrindavan and Radharani directly. That is too high. But if we approach through Sri Gauranga Dev, then very easily and safely we can reach that stage. So our direct approach is to Nityananda and Gauranga. Through Nitai we approach Gauranga. And to have the grace of Gauranga is to have the grace of both Radha and Krishna. That has been recommended to us by the stalwarts of the Sampradaya. Jata Jata Gora Padarabinde, Bindeta Bhaktim Kritapunya Rasi, Tata Tatoshtharapi, Hridai Akasmad, Radha Padamboja, Sudhamburashi. This is from Chaitanya Chandramrita, which is written by Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati. Give your 100% attention to understand Gauranga, and you will find that automatically, unknowingly, you are in Vrindavan, and you have become a member in the camp of Radharani. Oh, there we are. as Srila Guru Maharaj's illumination of this 11th verse, concluding verse of Upadeśāmṛta. There's nothing we can say more than that. In fact, it would be perhaps offensive of us to even attempt such a thing. Srila Guru Maharaj taking us from our position to the highest position, and the highest position, the worship and service of Srimati Radharani, Radha Dasyam. This is what Mahaprabhu came to give, and this is what our Guru Parampara have come to give, what our Guru Maharaj has come to give, what our Gurudev has come to give, what all of the Vaishnava Acharyas in the line of Srila Rupa Goswami have come to give that. And nothing more, nothing higher than that. So we bow our head at the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani and pray for her grace. And more than that, we pray for the grace of those Vaishnavas that are always in the service of Srimati Radharani. That is our only hope. So today I finish our talk here. Jayam Vishnupad, Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki jai. Rupanuga Guru Bhargya ki jai. Jai Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Acharya Vrinda ki jai. Srila Bhakti Nirmala Acharya Maharaj ki jai. Samadaita Vaishnava Mandali ki jai. Kol Kartel ki jai, Shri Harinama Sankirtan ki jai, Anitai Gaura Premanandi, Hari Hari Bo. Thank you everyone. Join us again next time. Hare Krishna. Now time for Arti.